Gentlemen, welcome to episode 2.
How would you be?
Of How Would You Be?
Well, how would you be?
Where we discuss all things sports business, maybe a bit of pop culture, whatever interesting is happening in the world. I don't think we have any topics that are fully off limits. I'm Michael Myers.
I don't think we have any topics at all today.
I don't think
we may not. This could be a very short podcast. I'm joined as always by owner, CEO, and editor-in-chief of Team Marketing Report, Chris Hartwig. Hello, Chris. How are you, sir?
Hi. Thanks for having me today, Michael.
Oh, of course. Thanks for showing up. And the big sports guy. He's right there. Everyone, Josh Kyles. Welcome back to the show, Josh.
I thought you said last week it's Kales, Myers.
No, Keels. No,
Keels.
Kyles. The man's been through enough, Josh. Kyle. So how are we today, guys?
We're doing
well. Wonderful in Chicago.
It is actually.
It's not San Diego, but it's
wonderful. I'm actually coming to you live today from Los Angeles, California, or more specifically Van Nuys, which most people would say is not Los Angeles. It's actually the Valley, but not in San Diego today.
Well, Is that where you hail from?
I hail from Long Beach, California originally. So, yeah, LA area.
Well, no, but not Van Nuys.
Absolutely not. No, okay. No offense to Van Nuys. But
no. I didn't think you were a Valley guy. But
I'm not a Valley guy. I'm not a Valley girl, but I am here now.
This is off the rails, guys. Van Nuys. What was filmed in Van Nuys? Was it like back in the 80s where they would live from Van Nuys? What was in Van Nuys? Or was that the porn industry that's in Van Nuys?
So I actually have a quick story about Van Nuys and how it got its name.
Okay.
You start the timer. It's a quick story.
Was a large. I'll do a quick one.
Take your time.
Large Jewish
population.
Topics.
Take your time.
A large Jewish population that moved to Los Angeles when everybody was settling the town, and Van Nuys there was no name, and they were walking around and they saw, wow, this place is just, it's very nice. Van Nuys. That's not my joke, but it's a great one. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Borat name.
I was going to say we have Seth Rogen on today as a guest, but then.
It is a bit Seth Rogen-ish. It is a bit Seth Rogen-ish.
Yeah, I've gotten that for about my whole life. So,
but something back, I don't know if it was game shows or what, but something was filmed in Van Nuys for sure. Something is in my head in Van Nuys. I'll figure out what it is. We'll talk about it on episode 3.
How would you be? To it.
Very nice.
Very nice. All right, well, guys. I know at least today we're going to talk about a few things that are going on in the world of sports. Number one. This evening, I don't know, starts in a couple hours. What time does it start? It's a prime time start, 7 p.m.? What I don't even know when it starts today. But the NFL draft kicks off today.
It does?
Big deal.
I gotta go.
Yeah, well, your
Chris,
team,
it was great having you today. Thank you.
Your team will be picking early. I'm sure of that.
And who's your team, Chris?
I don't have a team.
Chris is a Chicago Bears fan.
I am.
He doesn't have a team.
Not,
I guess
I'm
that's
not
the same thing.
I'm not a fan like Myers is of the Arizona Cardinals.
Cardinals.
And I don't even know, Josh. We're still getting to know each other.
New York Football Giants. I won't tell you the whole history of why that is, but
good.
Family from New York. There you go. New York Giants.
Very nice.
I also grew up in LA. There was no football team when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I still be.
And now there's 2.
Still shouldn't be one.
You mad?
What a joke.
Yeah, I am mad. I am mad at the illegal activities that lost to the team in St. Louis and pushed them to Los Angeles. Yes, so we're talking about the NFL draft. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about boxing. There's some weird, wacky, wild stuff going on in the world of boxing. Very strange time for boxing. Major League Baseball has had a few interesting moments this last week. High-profile players in some interesting situations. We've got former athletes creating some unique content, and who knows what else we'll talk about today. Well, let's start things off. Josh, I'll let you kick it off. You're the biggest guy in the room. You're the closest thing to an NFL lineman. I know you played collegiate football at a powerhouse Ivy League school, Columbia. What's going on with the NFL draft? I haven't heard much about this.
Yeah, well, playing is a strong word, but riding the bench is more like a good way to describe that. But yeah, the NFL draft is pretty exciting. We're actually hosting a large event in Cleveland, Ohio. I think they're expecting something like 50,000 spectators a day. Obviously, that is not. I mean, that's about 10% of what they saw the last time they did a draft in person in Nashville, which I got to be at, and it was an incredible experience, if not a little bit overwhelming. I mean, so I'm sure it's very exciting in Cleveland today, which is always nice for them to have something to get excited about. What do we got?
I was
there,
at the
Chris?
2010 NFL draft.
I wasn't even born then.
I know that's what.
But yeah, so Cleveland is hosting the draft. They're doing some interesting things, hosting some fans.
What is happening right now?
Chris is.
We are off the rails. We are officially off the rails.
Chris is watching Napoleon Dynamite right now.
I see him. Where you vote for Pedro?
Sanchez, who do you think?
All right.
I love that thing. That's also older than you, there, Mr. Rogan.
Right.
Okay.
No, definitely.
Cleveland. There's a lot. There should be a lot of people in Cleveland, but there's not. Please.
There should. Well, should there be? No, we love Cleveland. But some of the interesting things they're doing, they are going to have a vaccinated only section. So that'll be an interesting kind of a barometer for what events are going to be doing potentially moving forward. So I think that's interesting from the business side. And then, seeing how the fan experience looks. Like I said, when they were in Nashville a couple of years ago, it was over 500,000 people. If anybody's ever been to Nashville, I mean, the streets were full for 6 blocks down, Broadway, full of fans. And that was it. The streets were full. It was raining out. The bars were full. It was nuts. So hopefully, Cleveland can get a little bit of a taste of that, obviously in a safe as way as possible. And then on the other side, as a football fan, which I know you guys can certainly both speak to, I think it should be an interesting draft. Super quarterback heavy at the top.
Very, very quarterback heavy.
Like I mean, can you think of a draft that was this? I mean, they're thinking like the top 5 picks could all go QB. So I can't remember a draft that was this heavy quarterback.
I can't remember.
You're going back to what?
Deep.
Like 19, what was that? The huge
2012 when I was born. Yeah.
Okay.
2012.
But another one before you were born, 1983, right? Wasn't that Marino and Todd Blackledge and that was one where they all, not all, but the majority of them turned out okay. I think that's what's going to be interesting
right.
You've got 2 guys coming from the smaller schools. Well, not
North Dakota State, BYU.
Not BYU's in a smaller school, but it's not coming from a power conference at least, right?
Yeah.
And then the guys from the football factories. Which ones of those are which of those guys are gonna hit it?
Any predictions?
People are really high on Trevor Lawrence. I mean, we've been high on Trevor Lawrence for since he came into college.
I don't see how he doesn't have some success in the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's set up a little bit. He's got a slight advantage of also coming in with, I think, with Urban Meyer, that Meyer can take some of the heat off potentially in this case if they're not, especially if they're not playing well. I think he will and can take that, and so that helps give Lawrence a little more time. Plus, it's not the.
What do you mean he's going to take some of the heat if they suck? He's going to take the heat
because
you mean
from the fans and media that blame, and I mean, look at what's happened in New York with whoever, Sanchez and Darnold and a long list that's a tough market. And
I think
Wilson
that's
heading
predicated
into
with
that
success on the field, though, more than anything. I don't know if
Urban
Meyer was the head coach in New York. Is Ray Sanchez, the shortstop for the match? Is
Dirty Sanchez?
Yeah. Oh God. Is Sanchez or Darnold more successful because Urban Meyer's the head coach and can take some of the heat?
No, but they're probably more successful I don't know if it's because he could take the heat, but they're probably more successful with Urban Meyer as their head coach.
than Rex Ryan. I think most quarterbacks would be more successful with somebody other than Rex Ryan as their head coach. I would agree with that.
Or Adam Gase or whoever else it's been.
Yeah, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to have that much type of struggle. Two, I think people are fairly forgiving of rookie quarterbacks if they struggle a little bit. Three, Urban Meyer, I don't know. I don't see that being such a big factor that he's going to take heat off. I just don't see a lot of heat coming onto a quarterback that is in his first year. I mean, Troy Aikman went 1-15 in his first year. I'm sure he took some heat, but if he'd only had Urban Meyer as his head coach,
but what I'm saying is, like, look in Detroit and throwing Joey Harrington into the fire in a shit show.
Urban Meyer will not be bad for him as a coach. I actually think it's the bigger impact is that he was a college coach most recently. He's never coached in the NFL, so he's going to think like a college coach. He's going to be able to speak to the college quarterback in a way that he's used to being spoken to, I would think. So I do think that Urban Meyer being a head coach there is beneficial to whomever steps into that role. But I don't know.
Isn't that what I said?
Yeah, but
good.
You said it's because he's going to take the heat off of him because Urban Meyer is going to take some heat.
But that's part of it. Of course. Yes, you do. You get that.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. Urban Meyer is going to take the heat off of the quarterback somehow?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't see it. But I
hear a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure from that avid Jacksonville Jaguar fan base that Trevor's going to have to face. I mean, presumably
expectations are high. He's got to live up to what? Like Bortles?
Bortles is a legend in his own right. We can have some guests on.
Who was the quarterback from Missouri? The long
Gardner Minshew?
Hair.
Chase Daniels?
Who was the quarterback? There was the quarterback. Was Locke? Drew Locke? Was he the quarterback there for a moment?
No.
Who was the quarterback? There was a quarterback from Missouri. I don't know. This is how bad the quarterback situation is in Jacksonville. I can't even think of who the quarterbacks were in Jacksonville. That's how bad. Since Mark Brunell was the last quarterback in Jacksonville of note, I believe.
When they went to the AFC Championship under the tutelage of Tom Coughlin?
It's possible. I don't remember, but yes, I believe that's true. All right, so it's quarterback heavy. Any other names of note that you're excited about to see play at the next level?
This tight end from Florida, Kyle Pitts.
Okay.
From everything I'm hearing about this guy, I mean, I was hoping that he might slide to the Giants. I think we're at 11 or 12. That's not going to happen now. I mean, a lot of people are saying he might be actually the most talented player in the draft. He just looks like an absolute freak athlete. He can block. He looks like a wide receiver, like in the mold of Randy Moss, but a tight end. So I'm interested to see how he translates to the NFL. I think, and the wide receiver class as a whole, I think, is really strong. Some of the guys from Alabama.
Wide receiver class is strong. LSU guy. Who else is out there? Was the Alabama Devontae Smith,
and Jalen Waddle, both from Alabama.
Two wide receivers from the same school, same class. That's sick.
That are going to be like top 10 pick. Yeah. Unreal.
That's pretty crazy. Well, it is great for the city of Cleveland. Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say Alabama does a halfway decent job of recruiting.
Yeah, they do okay. They got a large budget for it, and I do mean they have a large budget for it. Exactly how it sounds. I am excited for the city of Cleveland, though. It is a little disappointing for them. Any other year, this would be a mammoth weekend. I think it's going to be fairly subdued. I do find it interesting that you said there's a vaccinated area. I don't know if we're moving to that as a society, if we're actually going to do that to where we have vaccinated versus non-vaccinated. They've been doing their best to avoid that. Should be interesting. I wish I was more excited about the draft. I wish I was more into it this year. I don't know. Chris, are you excited about this? Are you going to sit and watch this tonight?
No.
I'm not either. Josh, you going to watch it?
I might watch up until the Giants pick, so basically the first 12 picks. I like to try to see the Giants get their pick, but afterwards, the phone.
I don't know. Tell me,
on the phone is nice.
I feel like the guys that watch the NFL draft are the same guys that wear football jerseys around. like as an outfit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you've been to the NFL, that is the NFL draft experience. I mean, that's when I was at Radio City, and Josh, you had to have seen it on your trip when it was in Chicago. That's the audience.
Yeah, Nashville. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but I don't even mean like guys that are going to go to this are going to wear the jersey. I'm talking about. To me, it seems like the guys that would go to this are the guys that on a Wednesday are walking down the streets and they've got their Dolphins jersey. I don't wear a jersey ever.
So you're talking about Daryl Philbin's sister from The Office.
Daryl Philbin's sister, wearing the Eagles jersey.
The Eagles jersey and getting confused for Daryl.
Exactly like Daryl's sister. Yes, but no, I mean you can picture it just takes a specific kind of guy to wear a football jersey. When's the last time you donned a football jersey as part of an outfit with your khakis, Chris?
Never.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Football jersey.
Do you own I own a football jersey, but I don't wear it as part of a thing.
I have like my high school football jersey like in a frame somewhere. But
I've got somebody else's high school jersey and it's the cutoff right here, and I wear that.
I bet they love you at the sport and social clubs wearing those.
Yes, it's the dotted. It's like dotted, like you see through it.
Yeah.
And it's that I do have. I have my Herschel Walker.
But that's it. That's fashion. That's fashion.
That is fashionable.
This is now a fashion podcast. Thank you.
Crop top football jerseys is the kind of football jersey. If I'm going to wear a jersey, I'm wearing a crop top and I'm wearing the pads.
Did you get?
I'm going to look like Brian Bosworth, circa 1987. That's my goal.
Was that for your tryout for the Longest Yard remake with Adam Sandler?
No, it was for Invincible. It was down to me and Wahlberg, and Wahlberg got it. I was actually up for the part of one of the 72 guys that didn't make it on that day. And I didn't even make the guys that didn't make it. They were like, "You're too bad to look like a guy too bad to make this."
You don't even look like you're good enough to play on a field with lights lighting it up while it's raining. You're not.
Yeah,
no.
You'd be surprised. I look pretty spectacular.
I wouldn't be. I would expect that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was picturing you in the penny, the half cut penny.
Penny Hardaway.
But that brings up the question: how do you feel about basketball jerseys being worn?
The same. I'm not going to do it. I did it when I was 24.
All right.
I guess that's what it comes down to. At a certain age, I stopped. And I don't know when that was. Probably when I started to have some form of self-awareness. You guys hear that phone ring?
Yeah. Speaking of self-awareness, how
about turning your phone off? Yeah, how about turning your phone off before the podcast starts? There's a little self-awareness for you.
Divine timing right there.
Hey, look, that was a guy that probably wanted to play hockey on the PlayStation. It's a big deal around these parts.
Is that what you were doing? Be honest. Is that what you were doing the other night when you called me? Really, it was probably like 11 o'clock your time. You're like, I got to go get back to these guys. We're doing something. Were you were playing Fortnite or something?
No, not Fortnite. NHL.
How childish.
What am
Chell.
Man. Chell. Ironically, it's called Chell. CHEL. It's not joking. I thought you were referencing it. I know. It's called Chell, the league.
That's why I said Chell.
Oh, do you know what it is too? How do you know what it is? Wow.
I cover esports.
In Team Marketing Report. Heard about it. Well, I participate in it. I'd participate in it. And these are professionals from across the globe. Greatest part, by the way, as you enter a game and you're pitted against players from elsewhere, me and the guys I'm on this team with are talking. No joke. A kid from the other team goes, "Dude, you guys are like real men. Like you guys are like actual men." And we're like, "This is true." From that point on, we were like, every time we got on, we're like, "Hey, dude, it's been amazing since." But he was like, "I'm playing grown men." I'm like, "Yes, you are. Yes, you are." And you destroyed.
Does that make you? Yeah, but how does
it doesn't make me more scary. It makes me less scary. Yeah. Am I proud of it? I don't think there's any pride involved in this. These guys wanted to play. I said, cool. I'm talented at whatever I do. I'm an asset. Okay. And when people ask, I have a hard time saying no. So yeah, I guess I'm proud of it. All right. So the NFL draft, exciting. And segue, jerseys not cool for adults to wear. But the people that go to these NFL draft are men with mustaches, slightly overweight, wearing. But then again, that's the NFL fan. So the NFL is loving this, right? That's exactly who the NFL. That's their core audience. Granted, it's much wider than that.
You mentioned before. You mentioned before wearing a jersey with your khakis. Y'all, that's the worst case scenario. If you're going to wear the jersey.
No, the worst case scenario is jean shorts, just to be official.
No,
jersey with jean shorts is far worse.
No, that is #sexy time. But the real way to do it is in the Zubaz.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Zubaz is back, by the way.
So I don't even know what that is.
They never want
to go ahead and
Zubaz are the sweatpants that look like tiger stripes. That's the best way to describe it.
Oh, like
they're like pajama pants.
Like Dog the Bounty, like something that Dog the Bounty Hunter would wear.
Not even something like the exact thing that Dog the Bounty Hunter wore Zubaz. There's no
kind of like that's what Parney wears when he goes home.
Todd Parnell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
I would agree that Todd Parnell probably wears it. Todd Parnell is the John Daly of what we're describing. Yeah, John Daly owns Zubaz, guaranteed.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Anybody that works out at Gold's Gym owns Zubaz. Yeah, Zubaz that's a whole segment. We could do a whole segment on Zubaz. All right, so that's
a
the
whole
NFL
section of Zubaz clothing in Gold's Gym that you can.
I was thinking we might need to facilitate that partnership.
I don't think,
I think there's some Juan.
Speaking of facilitating partnerships and crazy bad ideas, what the hell's happening with boxing? What
is it? Is it even boxing anymore?
It's fighting. It's crossover. It's everything. It's just now. That's the other thing. A lot. This is now blending everything together. What we're talking about, Chris. Do you know what we're talking about? So
yeah, Logan Paul and Floyd.
Yes, Logan Paul is called. He fought 3 fights. I think he's fought 3 fights. So Logan Paul and Nick Paul, both of these guys are involved in this. Jake Paul. I don't even. This is how little I care about the 19 million followers that follow Nick Paul / Jake Paul or Logan Paul. Which you know who I think. You know why I know who Logan Paul is? There was a musical for 80s music that was done probably. And not Rock of Ages. Rock of Ages was the heavy metal, and this was more maybe I think Rock of Ages was 80s hair band. I don't even know the name of this movie, but one of the Pauls I think played the asshole boyfriend. Very unlikable. It was a perfect role.
This is the part that gets edited out, right, Josh?
That's the guy. That's the only reason I know who this guy is. I know he's on Instagram. I know he's famous on Instagram, and I know he's got 11 million. One of them's got 11 million. One's got a 19 million. Anyway, boxing. What the hell are you doing? We're gonna put Floyd Mayweather Jr., the greatest, potentially pound for pound, the greatest boxer of all time, is gonna fight Logan Paul.
Why not? Think of how much money they're going to make.
That's why. That's the why. If you want to know why not, well, you didn't say that. You said why not. That would take us about 47 hours for me to list all the reasons why not. But why? There's one reason why.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
That's a shorter version. Money. Yes, absolutely.
Well, but what other reason is there? Let me put it that way. What other reason is there then?
The quality of the product you're putting out there, the
no, I know that's what I'm saying.
Integrity of the sport. You ask what are the reasons? Those are the other reasons. Integrity.
Well, I know. You're not listening to me once again. That's my Jerry Seinfeld impersonation. You're not listening to me again.
What are you talking about?
Did you ever notice?
What are you talking about?
Here we go.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? What I am saying is there isn't any reason to do this other than the money. There isn't. It's not the quality of the product is shit. It's popularity. I was listening to David Purdom was on with Richard Deitch on the podcast the other day and talking about the Logan Paul. Who was the last one?
It was Jake Paul versus Ben Askren.
I mean, No, the knockout, Nate Robinson or whatever.
Oh,
What was
Nate
that one?
Robinson against Jake. Yeah, Nate Robinson against Jake Paul.
Like that one was that like the biggest handle in sports betting by far. Blew away Super Bowl, blew away anything else.
Who is this
Biggest
an
betting
indictment
handle.
of? Who is this
America.
an indictment of? Oh, hi. Okay.
You know, Jersey and Zubaz betting on this fight as if their life depends on it.
Yeah, I don't
America
think it's
is
Jersey
broken.
and Zubaz, but man, people want to see this?
Well, I mean, come on.
Not boxing
not-
fans.
No, not
People.
boxing fans.
People.
want to see it.
I mean, they sold what I think they're predicting somewhere between 1.2. Not predicting. They for the last fight, Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. There's somewhere between 1.2 to 1.6 million pay-per-view buys at $50 a piece. I mean, that's why.
I mean, are you watching this as a form of jackass? Is that what this is? Like this is
You're
jackass in a boxing ring?
Yeah, that's a good.
You're
analogy.
either watching it because you want to see the YouTuber get knocked out, or you're watching it because you're a fan of the YouTuber and you want to see him back up all his shit talk that he's been, running his mouth for years now.
By the
And he
way, I've
does
been
train.
watching his shit talk, and it's terrible.
Oh,
It's
Well, but
like
see-
a bad WWF it's a bad WWE wrestler.
So my argument is, 100%, it's terrible. Like everyone, but then do you see what I mean? It's done on purpose. Like he's not as dumb as people might think. He literally made a video, TikTok, before going. He started filming it before going to the UFC fight this past weekend, which was a great card. First indoor event that was full over the last 14 months in the US. And he went and he started recording and he was saying, I'm going to go to this UFC fight. I'm going to get the whole crowd chanting, fuck Jake Paul. And within being there, like as he walked in, he had the crowd chanting, fuck Jake Paul. And that was continuing throughout the night. So for someone whose main goal, I mean, he doesn't hide the fact that he's looking for attention because attention turns to views, views turns to money. And then, it all turns into opportunities like this for him to getting boxing handles. Like,
am I just an old dude? Am I just officially old, where I look at this and it can't be old. It can't be. It's got to be something to me, because if you go back 20 years ago, I hated Jersey Shore. When Jersey Shore became a thing, which to me, this is all just an extension of Jersey Shore. It's all an extension of Cardi. It's all an extension of the same thing.
It's a real life reality
Paris Hilton,
show.
famous for the sake of whatever. But watching a train wreck, I could not bring myself to watch a singular episode of Jersey Shore. And I would be dating someone and find out that they watched that or Desperate Housewives, and I would say, "What? Why?" And they say, "Oh, it's like watching a train wreck," because I could tell I was judging them as I was. And they're like, "Oh, it's like watching a train wreck." Like, well, you just watch it; it's enjoyable. And all I can think of in my head is, I refuse the business side of it. Once you understand the business side of it, these people are getting paid to be complete asses. And the more we watch them be complete asses, the more they get paid for being complete asses. And I just can't get into that. I can't get into that. I couldn't go to sleep at night knowing that I was a part of getting those guys paid $1 million an episode per person. Couldn't do it. And that's Jake Paul. That's Logan Paul. That's what they are. Is it beneficial? I guess it's beneficial for Cormier. He's not going to do it. Diaz might. Is it beneficial for the guys that take these fights? I guess it's money.
Yeah, I mean, that was more than Ben Askren ever made in a fight in his career, and all he had to do was get knocked out, which he didn't mind. He was smiling, he was happy. He told everybody leading up to the fight that if Jake Paul was any good, he was going to lose. I mean, I think at some point you'd like to see him fight someone who actually knows how to box. But I mean, obviously, you wouldn't.
Well,
you don't want to see him fight anyone. But it
just doesn't interest me. It doesn't interest me. I'm more interested now. I'm more interested in seeing the flaws in. Look, from everything I see, the only way these guys will fight somebody is if they can convince the person to fight outside of their expertise.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. Because Logan Paul will fight Cormier if he'll only box.
Or Logan Paul fighting Logan Paul fighting Floyd, obviously Floyd's a boxer, but Logan Paul's like 8 inches taller than him and way bigger. So
Yeah.
I don't think it'll matter. I mean, he's not going to touch. He's just not going to be able to touch Floyd.
Is
But
Floyd Mayweather going to show up and knock him out?
no,
He's not.
I don't.
He's
I don't
going
think
to.
so.
So it's not really a boxing match. You don't get to really see if Logan Paul can fight Floyd Mayweather. You get to see Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather fake spar, is what you're telling me. Floyd Mayweather's not going to show up and knock out Logan Paul. The greatest boxer in the history of the last 20 years is not going to show up and knock out an amateur fighter that has 3 fights under his belt. If he doesn't knock him out, he's not trying, right?
Right. No, that's where I have the problem with it.
Like Michael Jordan goes one-on-one with the kid from the drive-thru at Hardee's, and he ties. Right. What?
No, that's where I have the problem with it. Is that it's not legit? It's not legitimate. That if the opponents,
I'd tune in for the 42-second match if they actually were going to fight. I'd watch that. I wouldn't pay for it, but I'd watch it.
You can't trust that. And then it's the same thing of the betting handle. Like, to me, who the hell is going to bet actual money?
I know. Well, if you're betting money on this,
that's like betting to me. That's like betting on an NFL exhibition game. Like, what the hell?
People do that.
I know, and I think that's idiotic.
That's what we call degenerates.
It's more like betting on week 17 when 2 teams that have been eliminated by the playoffs but aren't fighting for a lower seed are going up against one another. It just doesn't matter.
No, I don't.
You can't even predict
I wouldn't say that because if it's week 17, it doesn't matter, but it does matter. It's a real game. When I'm talking about like,
you're right.
Spring training game or something like this. It's how do you know? Like you said, if I knew that these guys were both trying their asses off,
and I'm sure Logan Paul will be. I'm sure he will be.
Well,
he's going to do everything he can to try and get in there and win a fight, I would think.
Yeah.
I think
we haven't seen a fight,
but I don't get it.
I don't think we've really seen a fight like what will be Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather, because he's actually fighting someone who's a boxer. So, I mean, I can't sit here and say that Floyd won't try to go knock him out. I don't know that. But yeah, he's actually
Floyd
fighting
beat
a boxer.
The shit out of Conor McGregor, right? Was it Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather?
Yeah. He knocked him out in the 8th round.
He just managed him for 4 or 5 rounds until there was nothing left, right? He just sort of like pulverized him. Yeah. If he's going to do that, I might tune in to watch that. I guess I wouldn't pay for it.
Well, I'll reach out to him and ask him what he's going to do, and I'll let you know, so that you can make an informed. So you can make an informed decision on whether.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
I appreciate.
By the way, does anybody know an in at Floyd Mayweather Productions?
I thought you and Money were tight. You had me for a second there.
He goes by Money for sure.
I do call him Money when I see him.
Money. Yes. All right. So at least we all agree that it's
bizarre. I mean, it's all bizarre.
Yeah.
It's a societal thing. It's not.
It is.
I don't think you can.
Sad.
I don't think you can blame the Paul brothers. I don't think
they're a result of everything. They're not. They're a manifestation of all this stuff.
Yeah.
They aren't the creators of the problem. They're just.
It is tough. It is tough to look up and see what's out there and see what people care about. Yeah, I do agree with you on that sentiment.
And it does. It makes me feel like I sound like an old curmudgeon, but I know that I'm not. No, I know that I'm not. This is not. I don't believe that the fact that I don't want to see Logan Paul and Floyd Money, or that I can't get behind it and get excited for that, makes me an old curmudgeon. I refuse to believe. Maybe that's just blindness, but I refuse to believe that. I can get into a lot of things, and that just isn't it.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's something that strikes a chord and it just bugs people, and I think that's part of because of the persona that the Paul brothers put out, and they don't try to be likable, and
the only way I can enjoy this is if I completely remove it from the sport and say it's got nothing to do with boxing. This has nothing to do with boxing.
I look at it as it's WWE. I mean,
this is WWE. That's right. This is a pay-per-view main event, World Wrestling's WrestleMania 58. if I look at it like that, then it is what it is. It's an entertaining hour. But man,
although I do want to give more credit to WWE. I mean, their production value is certainly a lot higher than the production value. If you did watch the pay-per-view a couple weeks ago, I mean, that was one of the biggest criticisms that they received. It wasn't so much the fights that necessarily, but all of the other music acts that performed around it, and it was kind of crappy production value. Acts. Oh yeah, there was like Justin Bieber did a whole like 5-song set before the main fight, and a couple other artists. Don't talk about it. See, now you're acting like an old curmudgeon. Don't
said, oh no, that's what this is. This is.
But yeah, no, it is.
It's like a show.
Admit you are a believer, Myers. You are a believer.
I got no problem with Justin Bieber. Guy's got some talent. I just disappointed that he's associating himself with this. But I guess everybody's
so the problem with that is he's associated with Triller, and Triller is the company that's been the promoter of the fights, but they also, the main function of Triller is kind of like a TikTok competitor with more of a music focus. So they partner with a ton of artists, and Justin Bieber is one of the artists that they partner with.
Gotcha.
So I'm actually
the company.
Yeah, he has some type of that's there. I'm seeing my buddy who works for Triller after this call, so I can get some more insight on what they've been doing.
You're on a show. You're not on a call. All right,
whatever, dude. Semantics Myers, Michael Semantics Myers. That's what we're gonna call you.
That's what's on the screen. All right. So next topic. I'm so over the Paul brothers.
That's fine.
You see on the bottom of the screen. No. That's how I feel about that fight. Madison Bumgarner. I don't know if you guys have been following this. Chris, I know you have because you brought it up. Madison Bumgarner throws or doesn't throw a no-hitter. Talk to us.
That's crap. It's total crap. It's based off of, I guess.
Well, what are we talking about first? What's total crap?
Well, I thought you just set it up. Now I'm going into the conversation.
I didn't really talk about it. I didn't say what happened.
What? Why did you interrupt me again, Josh?
Because this is a show.
All right, I got this. So Madison Bumgarner threw a 7-inning no-hitter, but it was only a 7-inning no-hitter.
Threw a 7-inning no-hitter.
But it was only 7 innings, so it doesn't
here's the thing. So they've got the MLB goes to the 7-inning doubleheader setup to appease the Players Association.
Yeah.
But the rule, so the rule is out of date. The rule is applying to that there's only such thing as a 9-inning game. And I just, that's not what they're playing. They're playing a 7-inning game. He threw a complete game without allowing a hit. That is a no-hitter, and that's crap. And that MLB could go back and fix it.
So do you think it should be a no-hitter?
They haven't. Absolutely, it should be.
But if we count 7-inning no-hitters, instead of being 200 no-hitters in the history of baseball, which I don't know if that's an accurate number or not, but it's low, then there are probably 14,000 no-hitters in Major League Baseball.
No.
See, I would argue that you can't say that because they were pitching 9-inning games. Madison Bumgarner could have gone into. He knew there was a 7-inning game, so he's pitching differently. He's not saving himself the same way as if he was trying to go 9 innings.
So he didn't. I think he was allowed to pitch differently, and he doesn't have to save himself. So does that not give him an advantage over a 9-inning no-hitter?
I feel like
it's not his fault that it's not his fault that he's pitching a 7-inning game instead of a 9-inning game. He pitched to the game.
This is like what Roger Maris.
Yeah.
Keep in mind now. Well, it's important. Let me throw out there that I also believe it should be a no-hitter. He had 7 innings to pitch. He pitched 7-inning no-hit ball. But is it the same category as a 9-inning no-hitter? He didn't have to throw. But let me finish. The last 40 pitches you make, you don't have the same stuff as the 40 pitches before it or the 40 pitches before that. And he was able to avoid the last 40 pitches. He didn't have to throw.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
No,
it does matter because what you've got in the 8th and the 9th inning is less than what you had in the 7th in most cases, unless you held back, in which case you might have given up a hit. There is an argument to be made that this isn't the same thing as a 9-inning no-hitter. But I hate it I don't disagree with you. That's the thing. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think it should be a no-hitter. I think it should be an asterisk no-hitter, saying it was only 7 innings because Major League Baseball only played 7 innings during 2021 or whatever. I hadn't thought of it. I hadn't even crossed my mind. I was like, oh, 2 7-inning games. I watched it a bunch last year. I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan. They had coronavirus at the beginning of the year. They had to play 14 doubleheaders, 13 doubleheaders, something like that last year. And they're all 7-inning doubleheaders. I enjoyed it. It was necessary because it saved that pitching staff from 35 innings amongst, a multitude of guys. So it was beneficial, but I had not thought about what would happen if a guy threw a 7-inning no-hitter until this. And evidently Rob Manfred had not either. Granted, one of us has paid millions of dollars to have that thought.
Yeah, that's why I laugh. That's why I laugh when you said, granted, Rob Manfred hadn't either. Well, that seems like it's his job, but
you would think it would cross his mind. But, hey, just a heads up.
It's reminiscent of me a little bit, maybe not to the nth degree as it was, in the 60s, but like when Roger Maris broke 60 home runs and he hit 61 and everybody was, there was an asterisk next to that for years, and it was obviously because the season was longer. Right. So it's kind of similar to that a little bit. And sure. Baseball does have that kind of old school mentality, change.
It's why they don't change many things, because
but they seem to change a lot over the last couple of years. I feel like they've been, changing some stuff.
So I think, I think it's clear why they're the average fan, the average age of a fan across all 4 sports. Major League Baseball is 5 years older than every other sport. They definitely know they have a problem keeping the attention of younger people. They don't do a good job. They have not done a great job with that. The games are too long. They've tinkered with many different things to try and fix that. That brings up another one here in a second. But look, but I agree. It has to be counted as a no-hitter. Did you see his interview after the game, by the way?
No.
If you have not, it's the shortest interview you'll ever see. And he in classic Madison Bumgarner style, he put the headphones on and they started to ask him a question, and he just said, hey guys, I just want to thank I just want to say 2 things. 1, I want to thank the Shadows, played a big part in today. And 2, I want to thank Rob Manfred for these 7-inning games. Took his headset off and just walked away.
How would you be?
How would you be? That's exactly how I would be. Because I would be if I were him. I'd be very frustrated that I didn't get a chance to pitch the no-hitter. And
especially a guy like him. I mean, he
had a bad year last year and had a chance to. He's finally getting back on track. So, anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. Major League Baseball has got some other issues, and I would love to show you a clip of this, and I'll see if I can find it here in a second. But probably one of the worst calls I have ever seen in a Major League Baseball game. Matter of fact, I'll just tell you about it first. But so ground ball up the first base line. Pitcher comes over, fields the ball. The batter is running 3 feet inside the baseline to first base. Pitcher picks up the ball. There's still 10 feet between him and the runner when he turns and flips the ball to first base for the out, retiring the batter by no less than 18 feet. At which point in time, when the runner got to the pitcher, who, keep in mind, is 3 feet inside the baseline on the grass, that happens to be the line that the runner took, he took a half step to the right, veering so that he wouldn't run smack dab into the pitcher who had already retired him. Everyone had sort of started walking back to their positions. The umpire is pointing to the bag and whatever. They call the runner safe for obstruction under the headline that it doesn't matter if the play was close. It doesn't matter. All the things that obviously do matter in the umpire's discretion did not matter if, to the letter of the description, if the runner has to alter his course in any way, shape, or form, it's obstruction. It is almost impossible to fathom. You guys talk about it for a second. I'm going to see if I can find that video. All right, it'll help you when you see the video. But you guys check.
I think this is just a case of it's an ump or a ref who felt the need to make it about himself, make a point, and be a jackass. Basically, and there's Joe West, now that he's riding off into the sunset. That was the guy who I thought always did that in baseball, or touchdown TV. Teddy Valentine in the Big Ten somehow always managed to put the spotlight on himself in all the big games that he called. I just think it's ludicrous, and he's not doing his job.
Can you guys see this?
Yeah,
Yes.
let's take a look.
All right, let's see if we can. And we're gonna watch a commercial.
Oh, hey!
Well, this
They're
is a
not paying for
professional. This is
Can you-
professional. I need to blur this out.
Is that
Let's
ortho?
go ahead.
We got to
Hey, guys.
invoice him
Send
for
him an invoice.
15 grand for a
Ortho.
15 second.
Here you go.
Now that I mean,
What?
yeah,
That
it's
was-
ludicrous.
Clearly, you saw the obstruction.
He didn't even like when you described it. He took a step to the right. I thought he didn't. He just placed his right foot down where it normally would go anyway. Like he barely moved out of the way.
I mean, if he stepped into if the pitcher was in the baseline,
There's so many ifs. There would
Yeah,
need to be like
maybe.
5 ifs before this would count as
But
anything
this
that's
is-
happened.
but this is
Like,
I
look
mean,
at this. Look at this.
right. There's
That's obstruction.
that's
After he's out.
Maybe
Yeah,
if, the,
one
if,
more
fir- if
time.
the first baseman had been standing on first right away when he caught the ball, they wouldn't have called it.
I have no idea what is going through that umpire's mind. But Chris, I think you're right. There's just moments where these guys are looking to say, "Hey, look at me." There's no other explanation for that. You've got to be looking for something to find something on that play. Matter of fact, you've got to not be looking at the play to find something on that play.
right.
Maybe that ump had been watching a lot of NBA basketball this season, because that seems to have been quite common in some of those games. Not some, a
Yeah.
lot. Players, I think that in the NBA probably has more to do with the fact that there's no crowd noise, so the refs are hearing a lot more of the jawing back and forth. But I mean, just watching NBA, it's gotten ridiculous. I mean, and it's affected a lot of games where key players have gotten kicked out of games for one reason or another. So it seems to be a pervasive issue.
Well,
across the
and
board.
I mean, come on.
And it wasn't even Angel Hernandez
Yeah, right.
or Joe West.
or Cowboy Joe. But here's the thing with that then. Okay, well then call the friggin' strike zone the way that it's drawn up in the book.
Now you sound like an old man, but you're
No,
right.
I know, right? Like, okay, then call replay is the only thing that has forced these guys to stop calling the phantom tag and actually call whether somebody is tagged or the guy has
Yeah.
stepped on the base and stuff like that.
Do
That's the only
you
way
like
this is
that?
changing.
Do you like that?
Yes.
Do you like? So do you?
No, well,
here are
you
the
know
things
what? I
do like and
don't.
like. Yeah.
Because there's a point where there's some of these managers that, again, like, a bang bang play in an important game, a close important game, okay, but some of this stuff that, I mean, you know what, he was out. Let's just move on.
Yeah,
Just-
the phantom one, like the egregious ones, I'm on board
Yes.
with. You need to touch the
Yeah.
bag when you got the ball, and the ones I don't enjoy are that get overturned by replay are guys that they're sliding into second base on a steal. Let's say fielder catches it, puts the tag on him, keeps the tag on him. He beats the
Yeah,
throw.
right.
He's on
Yeah.
the bag, and as he's sliding over the bag, there's a split second in which he's slightly airborne. And no specific part of him is touching any part of the bag. And
Yeah.
yet it goes from his foot to his butt to his hand. But at one point, nothing was touching the bag. He's out.
Right.
The idea of a steal was, could you get to the bag before the throw? Not could you get to
Yeah.
the bag and remain in contact with the bag
Right.
100% of the time while a tag stayed on you. That is,
Right.
it's a bastardization of a rule. It's a fix
Right.
of a rule that wasn't broken.
Right.
Like I don't get
No,
that. one.
That's true.
I don't get that
I mean,
one. at
well,
all.
right? Because the concept is you overslide the base.
If you
Well, potentially,
overslide,
if you
that's
overslide,
different.
that's different.
No,
Yeah.
I
If you
know.
slide past the base,
Right.
yeah, okay, now you're
Right.
fair game again. But if you slide and just happen to hover at some point
No,
because
like-
you bounce.
Yeah.
Right. It's the
That's an excellent
wrong
point.
interpretation of that rule, that's the one that really bothers me more than any other. And they really do have strange decisions. Like there's no challenging anything that happens between home plate and third base or first base. If the call is called if the ball doesn't go past third base, foul or fair can't be challenged. You know that? The ball has to pass the base before they can challenge that. Yeah. So like if a guy, I saw this in a game where a base runner is lined up outside in foul territory down the third base line drive hit down the third base line. He jumps to miss it, but as he jumps, it kind of sort of moves a little bit toward the line. So the ball hits him slightly in foul territory, or maybe not, bounces into fair territory. They call the runner out. Well, if you know the rules of baseball, if a ball hits you in foul territory, you're not out. It's just a dead ball. That's why they tell you to take your lead well in foul territory and whatever. Well, the home plate umpire called him out, and it appeared as though he was in foul territory. But you can't challenge anything that happens short of the base, fair or foul. So it was not challengeable. So the non-challengeable rules, there's multiple that are not challengeable that I find interesting. Remember back in the day when the only thing was challenged was fair or foul and a home run? That was the first rule that was challengeable, was a home run, fair or foul, and you can go to the tape. Josh,
I'm interested because there's, like we talked about, there's a lot of rule changes that have happened over the last, I guess a couple years in particular with MLB. The one this year that kind of caught me by surprise that it actually got passed was the extra innings rule.
Softball rule.
I couldn't. Yeah. I couldn't believe that. When they were doing it in preseason, I was like, okay, they're testing it out, and then the real season started, and they're still doing it, and it's like.
So, what's your take on it? I have a take on this.
My take is that they're starting it too early. I get if they want to do that, after
12 innings,
13 innings, but like. To start it right away, this is college football, and you're starting at the 25 and going in.
Which, by the way, college football is shortening their overtime this year. I don't know if you saw that. They're actually forcing you to go for 2 earlier, and it becomes not an offensive possession, but just going for 2 after the third overtime instead of the 5th, which I was disappointed in that. But to your point, Josh, I don't love it. It is what it is. It's here, and it is what it is. But if they're doing under the guise of shortening the game, which is part of what they wrapped up in that, my argument would be you're shortening the game in extra innings.
The part
when the only people are watching are people that don't care how long the game is.
Right.
If I'm still watching in the 11th inning, I'm not one of those people like, God, I wish this game was over in 2 hours and 5 minutes. I'm somebody who wants to watch the game. And I love the memories of when I was a kid of the 19-inning games when the left fielder was pitching against the second baseman for the last – I love that stuff.
Yeah.
It makes for great drama.
If you make it to the 11th inning, you're like, well, I'm not going to – I put in all this time. I got to see how this ends.
Yeah, quick. Get this over for me, would you?
I'm not going to say that I'm not hoping it's, especially when I'm on the East Coast, if I'm thinking like, all right, can we get this thing over with?
1 a.m. You're watching a game
at least
in LA.
It's exciting. Your heart's pounding. It could end at any point. I don't like the putting a runner on second in the 10th inning. I think it's
speaking of rules. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say if it was about shortening the game so much, how are they going to pass that before adding a time clock between pitches?
Yeah. Which has been tossed around.
I think the shortening the game is as much of anything in extra innings is that the other solution right now is you add more guys to the roster, and the owners don't want to add more salary to the roster.
They definitely don't want to do that.
These guys are running out. They're running. The managers are over managing in some ways during the first 9 innings, and you get to the 10th inning, and you got nobody left.
That does go against the whole shorten the game thing. When on the flip side, on the field, managers are changing pitchers more often than they ever have before.
Well, this is ironic. So 2 things. One, Chris, the first joke you made, which is call the strike zone. If you want to shorten the game, call the strike zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you call the high pitch, the game will get shorter. It just will. Yeah. But 2, you're talking about the quickness of changing pitchers. That's another rule that actually was changed last year. Let's take a look at this video real quick of what happened. And I don't know if you guys saw this. This happened yesterday, day before yesterday. Yesterday, the day before. I think it was yesterday.
Wow,
I saw this.
this is a smooth transition here. Oh boy.
Yeah.
How is his face not
He
exploding?
does wear he has one of the helmets that covers his face, doesn't he, Bryce?
Doesn't cover his face.
He doesn't have the Giancarlo. He will now.
Now it does nick the visor, but it hits him in the left cheekbone. If you watch the second highlight, and this is a 97-mile-an-hour high fastball.
He walked it off like a champ. He tried to like block it with his hand. He knew that was coming from his face.
It nicks the visor, hits the cheekbone, then hits his arm. So it doesn't hit him square, but it hits him pretty well. It doesn't not hit him square, I should say. I thought it was going to be worse when I saw. I was watching that live. I was watching it live, and I thought he wasn't going to get up, and he got up quickly. Yeah. So what you don't see there. So that was the first batter faced by and I'm struggling now. Genesis Cabrera. So that was the first batter faced by this pitcher. Now he's rattled. He just hit Bryce Harper in the face.
Well, you can see his reaction, right? He was like, "Oh shit!" Oh, that was his first pitch. I didn't even realize that.
On his second pitch to the next left-handed batter, he plunks him in the ribs. And this is in a tie game. Oh, hey, we've got commercials again. That's great.
Yeah, well, that's okay because it didn't come up on the screen.
That's good. So he hits the next batter in the ribs. This is the point I was about to make on the new rule change. The rule change that was put in place last year was if you brought a pitcher in, he has to face 3 batters. So here you got a guy that just hit the face of baseball, no pun intended, in the face, or one of the 3 faces. It wasn't. One of the 3 faces in the face. Then he's clearly rattled. He drills the next guy in the ribs, nowhere close to home plate. Doubles over when he does it. Knows he's in trouble. And the manager can't take him out of the game. How'd you like to be the next batter?
At
least he was right-handed.
I'd wear a catcher's mask.
Good chance of getting on base.
It was JT Remolto. Yeah, JT Remolto comes up, and to his credit, on the third pitch, singled into center field, and they were finally able to take him out. In the meantime, Joe Girardi gets tossed because he thinks that the pitcher should be tossed, and you could toss him. But, it's a 3-3 game in the 7th inning. He's not trying to hit these batters, right? So it's hard to throw him out. But it's, if you're the umpire, you would maybe you'd like to toss him, but you can't. But you also know that the manager can't come get him. Cannot come get him. By rule, can't take him out of the game. So he doesn't throw him out. He warns both benches, which is the other stupidest rule in baseball, that you warn both benches. If one guy hits 2 guys, the team that just got hit twice gets warned. By the way, 100% of the time resulting in that manager getting ejected. 100% of the time. If, Chris, your team plunks Josh's team twice, and I warn you both, there is a 100% chance Josh gets ejected within 30 seconds of that happening. Every time. So he did. Joe Girardi came out, threw the umpire out first, which was great. And the umpire threw Joe Girardi out.
Oh, Girardi threw the umpire out.
Yeah, the umpire, Joe Girardi came out, threw him out, and the umpire immediately threw him out.
So if both managers agree to throw the umpire out, can we make that a new rule?
It'd be nice if you could. That actually would be. Angel Hernandez would never ump a game if that was the case. One pitch in. I would like to throw him out. You guys in favor? We are.
We are.
Unanimous. Everyone on the bench. But it was interesting. And again, a new rule. He had to pitch to another batter. He then took him out, which was great. And then I saw today in the very next game between the same 2 teams with 2 outs in the 9th of a tie game, Nolan Arenado came up and they had waited. Philadelphia waited until there were 2 outs in the 9th of the following game. Even though it was tied, they were like, well, this may end at any point in time. So they went high and in on Arenado and hit him upper back as a retaliation. And immediately did they warn both benches and immediately had to throw out the Cardinals manager because He was unsure.
Bold
whether he wanted
strategy,
both benches.
Cotton.
Bold strategy, Cotton. 3 days in a row, 3 consecutive
days off
Cardinal
work.
games, 3 consecutive games. A guy got thrown out because they warned both benches. I believe that's right. I could be slightly, but yeah, the Cardinals end up winning it in the 10th inning. Nolan Arenado did not score, but interesting nonetheless. By the way, the tagline for that was "Saving Face."
You were on top of that one.
Did not get that onto the screen. All right, our last topic, and I actually really sort of excited for this. In 92, what year do we believe was the first year for the Charlotte Hornets? Somebody Google.
I've
Year
got 'em right here
one
in the
of Charlotte
Sports Sponsor
Hornets.
Fact Book. Hold on a minute here. Sports Sponsor Fact Book, TMR. Boom.
Somebody make a guess. I'm going to say 1991. 1988. 1988, the Charlotte Hornets. And I believe it was, if it wasn't that first year, I believe this is true, and I could be wrong, but I believe this is true. Was Rex Chapman not the first player ever to be selected by the Charlotte Hornets?
I believe that is correct.
All right. It's what's in my memory. If it's true, great. If it's not, we're rewriting history. But the number 1 draft pick of the expansion Charlotte Hornets, Rex Chapman, who had a good NBA career, long-range shooter, was the best player on whatever video game it was that Michael Jordan said, "You can't use my name." Everybody was on there except for Michael Jordan. I don't remember what video game that was. But Rex Chapman was a baller, played for a long time. Kentucky. I think he played at Kentucky, University of Kentucky.
Yes, he did.
Long story short, Mr. Chapman resurfaced about 3 years ago on Twitter with, in my opinion, one of the 5 most entertaining Twitter accounts in all of Twitter sphere. Which I was actually surprised and disappointed that he only has like 1.2 million followers. I thought he'd have far more than that. He should, and he will.
Well,
but
part
very,
of it
very.
is he's political, so he can be very political. So he's got half the
people.
country.
Yeah, half the country already said no.
Yeah.
But yeah, so interesting, fun stuff. Well, so he. I don't know if it's smart for a podcast to promote another podcast, but I'm about to. He's about to come out with a podcast with an interesting concept, because at one point, I don't know if you know this, Rex Chapman was arrested years after his retirement, years into, I believe, an opioid addiction. He was arrested for stealing thousands of dollars of electronics from, I think, an Apple store. Was it an Apple store?
Yep, it was an Apple store.
And he will be doing a podcast in which his entire premise exclusively is interviewing athletes that have had run-ins with the law. And I think I saw World Meta Peace. By the way, that's Ron Artest.
It's also Meta World Peace. Put some respect.
What did I say? World Meta Peace? Yeah, sorry, Meta World Peace.
Say that to his face.
Yeah, I will. I'll say, "Hey, Ron," because I know that's your name.
I saw him in person once. I said Ron. I said,
and he
Ron.
answered.
Yeah.
He's like, no, my name's Meta.
No, it's just not World Meta. Come on.
Oh, sorry, World Meta. Ron Artest, Michael Vick, Ryan Leaf. Who else is But it's going to be interesting. I think that's going to be interesting.
I think it's great. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, we all screw stuff up. We all make mistakes. We all fail. So to be able to tell these stories of how you get through that, I mean, this guy was a, all-American phenom out of high school, goes to Kentucky, is a superstar there, goes to the NBA, plays, first round pick, plays 13 years in the NBA, and then he gets addicted to painkillers, and it sends him to shoplifting in an Apple store. And, and he's come back from it and he's learned from it. That's the thing, is he actually had a gambling addiction too. So he talks about that stuff. I mean, it's, that's important because everybody's got their vices, right? And so to have somebody like that, that's like, hey, it's okay. And this is how you can get help and get out of that and come out better on the other side. That's sports, that's business, that's relationships, right? I mean, I think it's fantastic. And plus you're going to have people that are the you know, you talked earlier about a little about the train wreck watching folks, but I mean, there is that angle to that of just like, oh my God, what the hell happened to him? And get him on here, and oh my God, he looks like shit. But he's better now, and you know, and here's how he finally did it. I mean, that's the thing with addiction, right? Like it's not usually the first stop or first attempt to stop or the second attempt to stop even, right? Like it's bad when it gets to that.
I don't know what Ron Artest's run-in with the laws were, but I'd be interested in hearing from him. I'm not overly keen on Mike Vick. I think different crimes are different. And
I don't know that Ron has ever had any trouble with the law necessarily. It might just be talking about like the redemption. It could be more of like a redemption story.
Malice at the palace.
Baby. Yeah, malice at the palace. I mean,
but I think you have to have had run-ins with the law to be on this. I think maybe not. I thought that's what the premise was. Maybe you could be right. It could be a little looser than that. I'm not legal run-ins. Yeah, I kind of moved on from Mike Vick whenever the dog fighting thing became quite as known as it was.
That was horrific. No, that's true. But I would, in that case, I mean, you know, the word was that he really did, you know, admit fault and admit that it was wrong and change. And so let's see now, a few years later.
Admitted that lining dogs up against each other to fight to the death was wrong. There's a lot of redemption.
Admirable.
Moving on, i.e. stopping lining up dogs to murder each other.
I understand that.
What a change, man.
That's what I'm curious to see is does he actually,
been a long time.
Has he really realized how horrific a thing he was doing is? Right? Like, is it, you know, just brushing it off and apologizing and making some donations? That's not good enough for me.
He got to come back and play in the league years later. Right. He played more in the league, not to the level that he was, clearly. I mean, the guy was a human video game. He was the original.
Yeah.
Amazing. He was a video game on your screen. But yeah, that one's going to be tough for me. But everybody else, I think it's a cool concept, and I'm going to give Rex Chapman the benefit of the doubt because I enjoy Rex Chapman. That and Super 70s Sports. Do you follow this one? Either one of you guys follow Super 70s?
Oh yeah,
Sports is classic too. That's a good one as well.
Yeah.
So you guys will be checking it out, I assume.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, Steve Nash
the episode with. Oh yeah, they're producing it, right?
I believe so. Yeah, iHeartMedia and a couple other folks, but Steve Nash's was that Control Media? Is that what they call it? Control Media seats.
CNTRL or something like that. Yeah,
which I think is Control, but
yeah. Well, listen,
I don't know that I pronounce it. That's what I mean. I don't know if that.
I'm no letter word expert. Okay, that's not what I'm paid to be here.
That might be the greatest sentence you've ever. I'm no letter word expert.
I'm pretty sure last week I said I'm no numbers expert, so I'm just going down the list of
the problem is these are the building blocks. Those two things are the building blocks for our entire existence, numbers and letters. So if you're not expert in those two things,
I know do those good. Sorry.
I know do those good. I don't know how we're going to top that, so we'll wrap it up there. That'll do it for How Would You Be, the second episode for the week ending April 30th, 2021. What a year. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us again today. May your visor always block the sun when you're driving, and may your air conditioner only kick on when you're hot. How would you be? That was supposed to roll right into... Sorry, that's some good music.
Are we still